I'm Ludo Farage from Nucamp, and with me, I have the pleasure of welcoming Gani Zahid. Hello, Gani. How are you doing today?
Hey, Ludo. Good. How are you?
Pretty good. And I see everyone here. So let's get started. All right. So we're going to spend an hour together. For the first 30 minutes of that hour, we will be going through an overview of Nucamp, what we are about, what we believe in, and obviously what do we do to help students get into new careers. And then for the last 30 minutes, we will be answering all your questions. And so I have the YouTube chat right in front of me here. We are streaming live as well on Facebook. And so I have this Facebook chat right in front of me as well. And so write down your questions in the chat. And Gani and myself will be spending the last 30 minutes answering all those questions. But now, without any additional weight, let me actually talk to you about Nucamp. So Nucamp obviously is a coding bootcamp. You knew that already. But if you're here joining us today, it may be because you are seeking additional answers to your questions, especially how is Nucamp different from the other coding bootcamps? And I know sometimes the question is, how can you guys do what you do at such a low tuition price? And so we'll answer all of that. The very first thing to really understand about Nucamp is we were founded about 4 years ago with a social mission in mind. And so we really started by wanting to offer coding education everywhere in the US at a very affordable price. And that really forced us to think about where do we spend money? How do we manage our cost? And so really forced us to innovate in terms of how can we be efficiently delivering an excellent, a top-notch coding bootcamp experience while maintaining a very low cost. And so we decided to be able to do that. We had to offer flexible evenings and weekends bootcamps. So it's not full-time. You can actually take our bootcamps online during the week, and then you will have a live synchronous event on Saturday morning, which means you can actually keep your job if you're employed and really learn part-time on your own schedule, except on Saturday mornings when it's really a 9 to 1 p.m. type of thing. We are very proud of the fact that students have rated us #3 coding bootcamp in the US at this time. We've just reached over 800 student reviews on Course Report with an average rating of 4.77, which is phenomenal. And you should know we don't tell students what to write. We don't pay students for writing something. They just go there and share their thoughts. And we're very, very excited and proud about that, obviously. Now, you probably want to compare what we do versus what's available out there. And we know that joining a coding bootcamp takes some time, and deciding which one is best for you takes some time because it's a big commitment. And sometimes it's also a big financial commitment. And so the way we think about coding bootcamps in general, and if you put ourselves in your shoes and thinking about the options that you have, you're going to probably first look into the online bootcamps or the online courses. And you're probably going to do that because it's the most flexible way to actually get started. It's the cheapest way to get started. For just $10, sometimes you can buy 200 hours worth of content on Udemy or Coursera or edX, you name it. And it's actually a perfect way to really put your foot into the door and evaluate if really coding is for you, if you like it, if you can learn it. And so really great way to get started, available anywhere, as long as you have, a machine and a PC or a Mac and Wi-Fi, I will say. Now, the other side of that coin, unfortunately, is very, very few people who try to go that route, online on your own, are actually successful in the end. And it's because there's a lack of support. It's accessible, it's inexpensive, but you don't really feel that you're part of something. You're on your own, and you read that those testimonials online all the time. You don't have other classmates or other students to collaborate with. You don't have an instructor who's going to be there to really answer any question you may have. And sometimes you will actually end up trying to build your own curriculum by, buying that $10 course here and that, watching that tutorial there, and then that YouTube video there. And it will really create a very disjointed experience. And most people, actually 97% of the people who go that route, end up really seeking an alternative, which is at the end a better structure, a better support environment. And so what is out there? And I would say until Nucamp. Well, what's out there are what we call traditional boot camps. These are traditional schools that have a campus. So if you have one in your city, great. If you don't, well, too bad. They often offer full-time experiences. They hire full-time instructors. You're gonna go there in the morning, leave at night, sometimes stay over the weekend. What's really great about those traditional boot camps is the immersion that they offer. Really the fact that you're gonna spend full time, 10 hours a day, sometimes the weekends, learning to code over a period of 2 to 4 months. It's a really great experience for the top coding boot camps that offer that. I mean, there's of course not so quality boot camps that do that, but the top ones are very decent. Now, it's great really if you can afford it. If you can afford it, not just from a tuition cost standpoint, but a risk that is presented to you. And we hear that from our students that, well, first, they don't want to commute, an hour to an hour and a half, morning and evenings, to go to that boot camp that may be like 20, 30 miles away. Second is they are still employed. Many of our students are still employed. And even though they may not like their job, it pays the bill. And so joining a full-time boot camp will mean for them just, quitting their job, cutting access to their compensation and their monthly salary. And that's a big ask. That's a big risk to take because you're kind of, making a bet that it's all going to work out for you. And so what we really realized is this is great, but very few people actually can afford to join those traditional boot camps or just don't live in a city that offers one. And so what did we do? Well, that's really the fundamental of why we created Nucamp. We really looked at the best that online has to offer in terms of flexibility, in terms of price, in terms of quality. And we took that and then we looked at the best that traditional bootcamps have to offer in terms of structure, in terms of being with other students, in terms of having instructors to help you every day and live instructions as well. And we brought that together to create Nucamp. And so that means that we offer an immersive part-time experience that's very affordable, but really brings all the support of a classroom where we are grouping you with a total of 12 students, where you have access to a dedicated instructor, and where we're also available in 180 cities in the US. So you better you're certain that we are there with other students that are local to you. Sometimes your instructor will be local as well, or just from your state. So that's very much, I would say, how we think about Nucamp versus other coding bootcamps that are out there. Now, the history I mentioned, we were created 4 years ago. We've enrolled 5,000 students so far. We've delivered, believe it or not, 1,500 bootcamps at this time. And we have in our community more than 250 instructors that are working in the industry, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. So all of that to say, I've been around for quite a while now, and as I mentioned, you can look at our student feedback on Course Report or other actually platforms like Career Karma or SwitchUp to see what they have to say about us. But joining us really is not going to be a bet on a new company that's just starting. We've been around for quite a while. And as I said as well, we are right now on the #3 coding bootcamp in the US. Now, what are the bootcamps that you can join? We offer a 4-week bootcamp for beginners. So if you are a beginner out there, and by the way, I encourage you to ask your questions online if you have not already. But if you are a beginner, meaning you've barely started to learn to code, maybe you've done a tutorial online, and I recommend that you continue to do that. Well, that 4-week bootcamp is for you. It's meant to prepare you to join the next bootcamps that are either the front-end web and mobile development or the full stack web and mobile development bootcamps. So those are 17 weeks and 22 weeks respectively. And those advanced bootcamps are really the ones that are going to prepare you to get a job in the industry. So start as a beginner with 4 weeks so that you know all the fundamentals, and then move on to either the front-end or the full stack bootcamp. And those two really will prepare you to get a job in the industry. Now the pricing, you've seen it, and we'll talk about it. We have our what we call our best deal, but in general, we'll ask you to spend $350-ish with us on a monthly basis. We never ask you to pay the full price up front, but the full stack bootcamp, the total cost, right, will be $1,880. So very much extremely affordable and under $2,000. Now, speaking of tuition price, we are very proud to have announced recently the FAIR agreement. And it goes a step further in really understanding that some of our students really have a hard time finding those $350 a month. And so what we offer to them through a student loan is to be able to really pay that tuition of less than $2,000 across a 12 months, 18 months, 22 months period. And so that brings the tuition down to like $8 a month. Like if you have Netflix, that's probably the cost of your Netflix subscription or something like that. So look into that. It's a student loan, so you have to qualify, but we are open to any credit score, the lowest, the highest. There's some rules around, have you been in a bankruptcy or things like that? And we'll talk about, actually, Gani will talk to you about a scholarship that we have if, unfortunately, you are declined the student loan. We actually have a scholarship for you in that case. So we're really trying our best to offer you multiple options to finance your education, starting, obviously, again, with that very low tuition in the first place. All right, let's talk about the curriculum and your experience as a student. What you're seeing here on that slide is very much going to be your day-to-day, week-by-week life, which means from Sunday to Friday, and we do include Sunday and Saturday in your curriculum, like there's no rest for the wicked, as we say. So from Sunday to Friday, you're going to learn on your own time. And we do that because we realize that many of you are going to still be working full-time at a job. And so we really offer you that flexibility of, learning as you commute. Maybe you're taking the bus, or in the evenings, or maybe early in the morning, depending on your shift. So you're going to be able to learn on your own schedule. You're going to go through video lectures, coding exercises, quiz and challenges, the project portfolio. And we're going to ask you to spend anywhere from 1 hour to 3 hours. It could actually go up to 4 or 5 hours a day, depending on where you are in the curriculum. But you're never going to do that, by feeling alone. So you're going to always be within a community of students. Either it's going to be your immediate community of students, your classmates, and you always feel like you're in that group of maximum 12 students, or you're going to learn, and share and ask questions with a broader Slack community, which has hundreds of students doing exactly what you're doing at the same pace that you're doing it. And so even from Sunday to Friday, I will say you will feel a significant presence of your instructor, the community, your classmates, and that's going to really help you throughout that week. Now on Saturday, it's a little bit different because on Saturday, it is a live event. It is a synchronous event. So you have to plan to be pretty much busy coding from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. It's actually, of course, depending on the time zone where you register. And so sometimes we see people who live in the Pacific time zone registering in the Eastern time zone so that they wake up very early at 5 a.m. and be done by 10. So think about that as well. If you have some issues with the timing, you can pick a different time zone, either Eastern, Central, or Pacific, and depending where you live, obviously. But that Saturday morning session is a live event with your classmates and your instructor, and it really culminates your week-long learning experience. You're going to work on a project on that Saturday that's going to be graded, and that's really going to be where all your learning are going to accumulate to you building something fresh and new that's really going to challenge you. And that's why we want it to be live. Before COVID, it was in person. Now it's live online. But you're going to really want to have that support, immediate support of your peers and your instructor while working on that assignment. And then it's a rinse and repeat. Like every Saturday, then the new week opens and you're going through the same motions. All right, our instructors, you've heard me talk about them quite a bit now. They really are our secret sauce, and they are really what makes Nucamp special. And Gani, by the way, is one of our instructors here, so you'll hear from him in a few minutes now. They come from a very diverse background, but they have one thing in common, which is they are all working full-time in the industry. They are teaching with Nucamp on the side, and they don't do that for the money. Most of them, even though we of course compensate them, the money they make with us isn't as much as what they will make in the industry. They really do that with us because they are passionate about sharing with others, helping others in their community, and teaching and helping other people learn to code. And if you go back to our student testimonials, you can see really that feedback coming through and how much students are appreciative of those different instructors with different backgrounds and perspective, but really caring about them and caring about making them successful. You'll be exposed to 3 to 4 to 5 actually different instructors throughout your journey. So really a great panel of different point of views and perspectives, as you'll find that many or some of them actually are going to work as freelance, or they're going to work for the governmental agency, or they're going to work in a startup, or they're going to work, in a Fortune 500 IT department and things like that. All right, and so that was pretty much what I wanted to cover with you. I'm going to hand it over to my good friend Gani to tell you about, well, really what it means to become a developer in the end. Gani, off you go.
All right, thanks, Ludo. Okay, so becoming a web developer. So there's few things that goes into it, but one thing that you need to remember as far as JavaScript goes, it is number one as of now in web development. It has been number one for about 5 years now. It's one of the languages that's moving really fast and becoming probably most likely going to be staying as number one for quite some time. Average salary for a junior web developer with JavaScript knowledge is approximately $70,000. It is going to be slightly more for some if you were to have some sort of a prior background. So for example, if you were working in some industry where, let's say, as a hotel manager and you have that knowledge already, and if you were to work with a website that is that has to do with hotels, you have that prior knowledge. So the compensation might be more for that particular reason. So we do have a blog on how to get a job and such on our Nucamp site. So please check that out. Okay, so let's talk about a bit how your path or how the curriculum looks like. So if you are new to coding, and if you're new to learning how websites work, the first class you will take is the intro class for web fundamentals, where you will learn basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that's going to kind of tell you that is this good for you? Is this something that you're comprehending? If you're actually, picking it up quickly or taking some time. Now, one of the good things that happens with Nucamp is that the course is available to you. You could go back and look at something else at a later time. So it's available to you for lifetime. So what that means is that that's going to lead you into the next course, which is going to be our front end. That consists of our Bootstrap, which is going to be your number 2 class. Now, if you're, let's say you're good with intro and you understand and you're like, let me go to the next course, Bootstrap will be the next one for you. It's a framework that helps you create your website faster. So you already have knowledge of how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript works, and we use that in Bootstrap to use the predefined or pre-created code for you. So that's what the framework does. It already has pre-created code for you. So we'll talk about how to use that. It's a 5-day class. So the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript class is 4 days, 4 weeks. And then Bootstrap is 5 weeks. And that will lead you into React, which is also a 5-week class. So what in React, you work with more of dynamic responsive pages. You're going to be creating more of APIs. You're going to be creating more of pages, and that will lead you into your mobile, which is going to be your React Native. Now, once you're done with that, and if you want to move forward with full stack, you're going to work with server-side, full stack, server-side coding languages such as Node.js, Express, and MongoDB. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database. So it kind of integrates very well with Node, and then everything kind of integrates together with React Native. We do use Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, JavaScript throughout the whole course of your full stack. So that will be your full curriculum. Lulu, can you go next, please? Okay, so within your career or your whole course that you will learn at Nucamp, you're going to work on 22 projects. So, each week you have 1 project, and then you have 3 portfolio projects. Now we have a lot of students who have created many portfolio projects. So what you will be using a responsive website with Bootstrap. You're going to be creating dynamic websites and mobile app with React and React Native, and then you will use you will combine all that together with your backend, which will be your Node.js, MongoDB, and Express. Okay, Loda, can you show us a few examples of the projects?
Yeah, no, I'll be happy to. So what I wanted to show you all is something you can actually find on our YouTube channel. We have a student portfolio playlist there, and we keep adding those. And I'll start with one that was really interesting. A student really spent a lot of time on the back end of things. Of course, you see a chessboard here, but he really worked on developing code that will allow 2 chess players to play against one another online. So let me show you a little bit of that.
Notice that I now have both of these users that I made.
He's using MongoDB on the back end. And you're going to see him connecting.
And this will allow me to see any moves that are made here.
There we go. So that's one very interesting. I can tell you, we saw that during a graduation ceremony, and everyone was quite impressed with what that student had done. Now I want to show you another one that's more on the front end side. It's a Pokemon game, still has a backend, but what's really interesting is the level of, I would say, work that was made on the front end design. So let me show you actually. There we go.
And in each turn, a player can either discard a card from the Pokédex.
All right, so really a lot of work on designing those cards, making them responsive. So very interesting work here as well. And I think there was one more that I wanted to show you.
Then you'll
Let
have
me
a
check.
book type card.
Um,
So now you have two book type cards.
let me see.
And at any point of the game, you can press R to recheck the game.
There we go. So this one was very interesting because of how polished it was. And when we actually saw that project during a graduation ceremony as well, we actually saw other students asking, hey, are you going to build a startup out of this? Can I join? Would you hire me? But very intriguing, piece of work. It's a software for HR, but the design and the animation and everything feels really polished. Like you could think that you could just subscribe and buy that product right now. It was kind of ready for that. So yes, Kenny, that's kind of something that you all can check out. It's on our YouTube channel. Look for the student portfolio playlist and go through those. Back to you.
Thanks, Ludo. Oh, wonderful. It's always nice to see those projects. Okay, so as far as our bootcamp schedule goes, we have a bootcamp starting on February 15th. It's for the front end, and then we also have the back end full stack bootcamp starting as well on the February 15th. The early bird ends on the February 1st, so obviously there's a discount for that. Okay, so we do suggest that you register in your own city. So if you want to change in future from online to in class or in person, you can do that. So that's why it's important. So you will get to see the same students that you probably met online during the online class. You might see those same exact students in person as well. So you have options to do both. Okay, so as far as the Nucamp scholarships go, we do offer 4 different scholarships. The first one is the Nucamp scholarship. So Nucamp is opening a tuition scholarship for U.S. military and veterans. So that is going to be for veterans. We have high school graduate, which is back to school coding. So you have to basically apply for these and qualify. We also have Career Karma scholarship, which is basically if you want to get help with your laptops and such, that will be for that. And then we have a new one that's called the New You. So if you were recently denied a student loan or denied in past year or so, you will be able to apply for that particular scholarship. Okay, Ludo, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. So as far as our career services go, so I am one of our career coach as well. So you will probably most likely be meeting me as you graduate. So the career services only offer to students that graduate. Are both full stack or front end development. Once you graduate, you get assigned a career coach, and we'll walk you through in how to maybe build your resume if you already have a resume, how to fix your resume, and then also we'll go through how to apply for jobs. We go through LinkedIn, we do mock interviews, we'll talk about what to talk about during your interviews. So a few cool things that we kind of talk about is how to pinpoint a few things within your resume. So when you have an interview with your employer, you can actually look at those pinpoints or even expand on those pinpoints with your employer. So it kind of gives you a topic to talk about. So those are the few things that we will do. So as far as our employment rate goes, 78% our graduates are employed 3 months after the boot camp. 70% our students graduate on the last 2 cohorts. That is your front end graduation, and then also your full stack graduation. Okay. All right. So with that, back to you, Ludo.
Yes. So thank you so much, Kenny. And as promised, right on time, it's 9:30 a.m. Pacific time right now. And so we're going to spend the next 30 minutes going over your questions. And so Gani and I, we are reading your questions on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So let's actually go in order. So I'll take the first one that I'm seeing, Gani, and then you can take the next one.
Okay.
Is there a number to get a hold of someone to help with registration? Brianna Vasquez is asking that. The best way for us to help you out will be either online, actually on our website. If you go to www.nucamp.co, there's going to be a chat, and either Luis or Zandra are going to be answering. And so they can help you there. It's real time. You can also send us an email, info@nucamp.co. And the reason why I'm suggesting those approach to actually having a conversation is, believe it or not, but answering a phone is the most expensive way for any company to engage with customers and provide support. It's so because you can only have one person really answering the phone at any one time. And so in the spirit of really trying to figure out how we can offer such an affordable bootcamp, we've actually optimized our responses to student or prospect using email or website chat. And so that will be the answer for that.
Is this seminar recorded? It is recorded. It will be available on YouTube afterwards if you need to. Wish you had a combo with a discount for fundamentals and full stack.
Yeah, we don't. Unfortunately, we don't have a combo if you register for both. And we think our tuition is already very affordable, and so that's pretty much why we don't really offer additional discount beyond the early bird rate, which again expires this coming Monday. So even though we don't offer a combo discount, we do offer a discount, and it expires this coming Monday. So make sure to register before then.
Okay. The next one says, I've been working with SQL primarily for 10 plus years. I'm interested in moving into full stack and leveraging my SQL experience. So you can use MySQL, SQL. We do recommend MongoDB because that what creates the modern stack. But if you want to use MySQL or SQL, you can definitely do that. It would just be like connecting to any other database. There might be certain things that might not work properly. So you might want to take a look into that before you go that route.
Yeah, and I will say your knowledge of SQL will definitely help you understand, data structure concepts, and you'll have an easier way grasping the concept of NoSQL databases and things like that, because fundamentally you're still dealing with, the structure of the data, how you're going to store the data, and things like that. So that would not be challenging. Quite the opposite, I would say. That's going to be a benefit or an advantage that you actually know SQL that well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the next one from Student Sultan on the refund policy. Gani, so our refund policy is pretty much based on what the state education in each state are dictating that vocational schools like ours provide to students. So it's very much based on state law, I would say. But generally, they can all look the same, and it's you are refunded based on how much time you spent or not spent into the bootcamp. And so typically, the most common refund policy from state education boards is that if you spend between 0 to 25% of the bootcamp's time, you're going to be refunded of the difference. So you'll be refunded 75%. If you spend up to 50% of the bootcamp time, you're going to be refunded 50%. If you spend more than 50% in the bootcamp, then there is no, at that point, refund. So beyond 50% of attendance, there is no refund. And that last bit sometimes changes depending on which state you're in. But that's typically the refund policy. And you actually deduct the registration fee that always kind of is kept, which for us is $50 and $100, so not that expensive.
Okay, not sure that question says only once a week. I thought 2 times a week.
Could it be regarding the Saturday workshop?
It could be. Okay.
Yeah, so we're only meeting. So the live meetings with your classmates and instructor is once a week, and it's on Saturdays. You do have access to your students and your instructor during the week, though. It's just not live.
Right. Some instructors, including myself, we do meet maybe, during week 4 or week 3. If the curriculum is a little bit hard for students, we do schedule another call. So I know I do that with my students, either Thursday or Wednesday night. I'll have another call with my students. It's not mandatory for everyone to attend. So whoever is having issues can attend. So once a week, yes, is the Saturday one where it's scheduled, but anything after that is, up to the instructor. So we do have some times where we schedule another call during the week.
Yes, thank you, Gani. On Facebook now, so I hope I'm going to pronounce it correctly, but Thitipong Recho is asking, can an admission person, I'm assuming, give me a call so I can enroll? So you can enroll online. You don't need help from admission. We actually don't have an admission department. And again, that's because we looked at our model and decided that we did not want to have a wall or a blocker to anyone wanting to enroll. So just go online, enroll on your own. And if you have any question, you can use the chat window and we'll help you there. And then still on Facebook, and then I'll let you go back to YouTube, Gani. Jay St. John is asking about, is it really possible to get a job after a coding bootcamp? It is. I mean, it's tough, but if you go to our LinkedIn alumni group, you'll see all the past graduates, and you'll actually be able there to discover what they're doing now. And you'll see that many has found jobs in the industry. And actually, we are quite pleased to announce that our employment rate is 78%. So definitely you can get a job. It doesn't mean it's easy. There's a ton of competition out there, but coding bootcamps and Nucamp are really well positioned to give you the skills to get a job in the industry.
Great. So there's a question about my schedule is the most complicated, 3 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 12-hour shifts, 5 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So how's that going to work, Luda? I don't think, for instance, we only offer Saturday workshops. You can learn on your own.
It's pretty tough. Jamon, it probably will be a challenge for you to join because that Saturday session is very important for you to internalize the learning and then apply it. I will recommend, and I don't know if it's an option, but if you could, move one of those 3 days so that it's not Saturday but another day. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty tough, and I would actually suggest looking at other alternatives. We don't have another live workshop outside of Saturday at this time. So yeah, that's going to be tough. I'm going to take that next one, Gani, if you don't mind, from, I don't think you can actually pronounce that name, ZZXYUR. I don't know if you can actually spell it in a way that makes sense. Maybe not. But anyway, does Nucamp have any plans to offer test prep or tailor your content for OpenJS, Node.js service developer or OpenJS, Node.js application developer certifications? So I'll say that I'm not familiar with those certifications, but I will bet that our curriculum today is tailored to that content because we are teaching that stack precisely. And so especially if you enroll in the full stack, you're going to be leveraging Node.js to run React on the front end, which I think will apply to the application developer certification. And then you're going to spend a good amount of time on the back end of Node.js, which will apply, and you're going to build your own REST APIs and MongoDB and all that, which I think will connect back to the services developer certification. So that's actually an interesting, I'll look into it, but I will bet that our curriculum already prepares you for those certifications and is already tailored to it. Kenny, do you see one that you would like to answer?
There's a question about income shared agreement. Is there
Yeah, so that one I can probably take as well. So we have something better, Mama Mango. We have the fair student agreement. And it's better because it actually starts with the very low tuition that we offer. So our tuition is less than $2,000. And even when you take our fair student agreement, the additional cost is just going to be between $350 to $500. So by taking an agreement with us, a fair student agreement, you're only going to pay like maximum $500 more on your tuition. Income shared agreements, if you sign one of those, you may actually pay anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 more on top of the tuition. So some of those contracts have you pay $40,000 for an online coding bootcamp that honestly should not cost more than $5,000. So really consider that if you're considering an income share agreement, and look at what we have to offer. Our fair student agreement is definitely a better deal than any income shared agreement that are out there.
Okay, another question from Cindy. Do you need any sort of a program installed for the fundamentals class? No, you don't. The only thing you need is a browser, your VS Code. Actually, you need VS Code. So it's a GUI interface that we use to edit our code. You can do the coding within Notepad or some other interfaces, GUI interfaces, but we kind of suggest VS Code, which is free of cost, and it comes with a bunch of different extensions that makes it easier for you to code. So that will be the only thing that I can think of, VS Code.
Great. And Joseph is asking about, Joseph did the prep, the web fundamentals already, and then is beginning front end in February. And so I think what we should mention, Joseph, if I read your question right, front end and full stack start at the same time. The main difference between the two, and you may have seen that on the previous slide, is full stack has an additional 4 weeks module at the end. So you will be starting in February with your classmates, and some of them may be in the same course, Bootstrap, but enrolled in full stack with you. And then at the end, you could actually decide to stay with front end and stop right after React Native, or you could decide to upgrade and continue on 4 more weeks in full stack. So the pace, the presentation is the same, if that's the question, and you're starting your journey along with other students that may actually have registered to full stack while you're doing front end. Silent Zulism is asking about web fundamentals in Las Vegas on February 8th. Yes, there are still seats available. The deadline is the day before, but as we said, web fundamentals for February 8th. So deadline is the day before, and there are still seats left. There should still be seats left. So you should actually register now.
Recording of this lecture. So yes, there's a recording for this conversation that we're having right now. It's going to be available on YouTube.
And Brianna is asking, how long is the chat open? I believe that's the web chat on our website. It's open right now. And if we don't have agents available, your question will actually be sent on email and we'll answer that on email. So you can go on the web, ask your questions, and you'll get immediate answer, or you'll get maybe a slight delay via email.
As far as the plan options go, Ludo, I think I kind of just talked about that already, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, the payment plan options. Yes, we offer plenty of payment plans. Great. So Ivan Zertush is asking about what other coding bootcamps or topics we will be covering in the future. We did send a survey recently. It's looking pretty good around software engineering with Python. I mean, I'll share with you today that 50% of the people who answered the survey asked for software engineering with Python. So that's kind of the leading option for us. It's going to take us a few months before we have anything ready. So I wouldn't wait for it. I mean, if we have something ready, that may be middle to late of 2021. But definitely that's very likely to be a software engineering with Python.
Okay. Jonathan is asking about the Saturday classes. He sometimes get off from work later, so he might not be able to attend Saturdays sometimes. So Saturday classes or Saturday workshop classes are absolutely recommended. It's a review of the whole week, and then also to offer you help with your workshop assignment. Workshop assignments are mandatory for you to pass the class or pass a particular course that you're taking. So yes, you can do the assignments later. If you were to miss one workshop session, that is okay. I would just try not to miss too many.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. There's a question about, will there be group work? There is group work. Actually, every student is asked to work on a personal portfolio project, and they can actually do that just themselves or with other students. And then on the Saturday workshop session, very often we create breakout rooms and we group students together to work together on that assignment. The Saturday lectures are not recorded. There's a few reasons for that. One is, you will have to have the consent of every student before recording it. And then, to be honest with you, I've never seen a student really able to watch offline a 4-hour bootcamp where people are just coding. So it's not really worth it in a way, and it's not going to give you what you need because most of that coding workshop is about coding. You really building your own code, and you want to be live because you're going to have questions, and you want those questions to be answered right there. So doing that offline, watching a recorded video is not gonna really help, unfortunately. D. Henry is asking about, is there any way to cut the $399 payment for in multiple installments? Not yet. We're looking into that, but unfortunately not at this time. You will have to actually pay it at once. But we do realize that it could be a challenge, and we're thinking about in the future, and I say it could be several months, kind of cutting it in half, for example, and make it 2 payments.
There's a question about New U scholarship. Does it cover the full tuition for either front end or full stack programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our scholarships do not cover the full tuition. They reduce the cost of the tuition. And so typically it's 25% pretty much that we take out on the tuition total. And those details, by the way, you're going to find a lot of details on our scholarship on our webpage. So if you do nucamp.co/scholarships, you'll have all the details about, how much is it, how do you get, what do you need to do to qualify for it, etc.
Okay, Dave is asking about what needs to be installed before enrolling. So I would, as I said before, VS Code is the only thing that you need for the first class. After that, we do, so Chromebook does provide some challenges sometimes. We do have a list of technical, I want to say, list of things that you need in your computer before starting the class. So you might need a different computer. Chromebook might not be good enough.
And I will add to that you're mentioning a Chromebook, and unfortunately, we actually do not recommend and don't support Chromebook for the bootcamps. You'll have to actually get your hands on a laptop or desktop, PC or Mac, but you're not going to be able to code on a Chromebook. That's going to be very challenging.
Yeah, and the main reason is that we turn our computers into a small server to be able to run, the coding or the code that will not run otherwise. So we have to be able to see all that stuff.
Mama is asking if we offer full stack in Indianapolis, and I can't remember which time zone Indianapolis is in. But if you go to our website and look for do search community, search my community, and you type in Indianapolis, it should pop up. Otherwise, you'll also find what we call the regional boot camps. So it's Central, Pacific, or Eastern, and you can register there as well. So there's a few ways to find it.
Coding Dojo, is that comparable to us?
Yeah, absolutely. They're actually their headquarters is where our headquarters is, which is Bellevue, Washington. I will look into the web fundamentals that Coding Dojo is covering. We require HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so if that's covered by Coding Dojo, great. Then you can probably start directly with either front-end or full stack. I will say that we have a test for you. So whatever you've done before, and by the way, we see plenty of our students, learning the fundamentals online, which is perfectly okay. And just taking that test, it's 25 questions test. We give you the link as you register, take it, and make sure that your score is above 85%. So if your score is above 85%, no matter how you got there, it's great. You can register to either front-end or full stack.
Okay.
Donald all the way is asking about Macs. Yeah, Macs are welcome. Plenty of our students have Mac. I'm personally a Windows guy, ex-Microsoft. You will not expect less of me, but Macs are totally welcome. Linux as well. Linux, sorry, is welcome. Yeah.
Yep. So Mac, Windows, Linux machines, anything. Okay, I think that's it. Ludo, is there any other questions on Facebook?
I haven't seen. Oh yes, Kevin Parker is asking, do you ever change the projects, or will everyone who finishes the course have the same portfolio when looking for a job? It's a great question. So there are two project track, I will say. One is the learning project. So that's the project that we've created to really help you learn the technologies. We call it the Nucamp campground or Nucamp camping project. And that's the project that every student will do. So every student will have that same one at the end. At the same time, we're asking you to work on your own portfolio project, either on your own or as a group. And that's the one that generates the most diverse type of projects. And Kevin, if you attended the open house earlier, you will have seen me kind of browse through those student projects. You can actually go back to the recording of the video, or actually just check out the student playlist, the student projects playlist on our YouTube channel. And you'll find all those different student projects. And these are very much, whatever you want to build, whenever you can think and you can build, is what you'll be working on then. So yeah, you do change projects, and not everyone who finishes has the same one. Day Henry, what laptops will you recommend for purchase? We actually have a list on our FAQ online. So if you go to our website, if you look at the frequently asked questions, there's a list out there that you can actually check out. Typically, anything that costs $500 or more will be okay. And I'm mentioning that for a PC. Macs are usually more expensive, but for a desktop, for a laptop even, $500 or more are typically okay. Anything else, Gani, that you see here?
Do you think that this tuition is looked at as tuition that can be paid from your 401k?
It's a great question for anyone who's looking after your finances. I actually don't know that. I think education funds are not 401k. I think you have to have, I say that because I think I have that for my kids, but it's a different type of savings account. It's not 401k, I believe. It's a special education. Say what?
I think it's 403.
403. There you go. Yeah, so you will want to maybe look into that. All right. Well, it's 9:55. I really appreciate Gani. Thank you for joining me. It's been great having you again. Yeah. And everyone online, thank you so much for joining as well. you can ask your questions still online, or just as I mentioned, go on our website, use the chat window and ask your questions there. We're looking forward to seeing you in our bootcamp. And don't forget, this coming Monday is the deadline for getting the early bird. So register before that time will be the most the smartest thing to do, I will say. All right, take care. See you, Gani. Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care.